and welcome to Donington Park for the second instalment of touring car action here at the TCR UK Championship in 2022. From little acorns to mighty oaks grow, we have 26 cars here for rounds 3 and 4, the biggest grid since TCR UK started back in 2014. It's safe to say that touring cars are back to an era of massive popularity. Before we get into coverage of race 1, I wanted to catch up with one of our drivers, and I've got Hugo Cook here. Hugo, there's a bit of a story to Alton Park, isn't there? Because you didn't manage to quite get on the grid for it.
Yeah, we had a issue with the module, which is basically the gear selector. So we didn't find that out until someone from Cupra came over and had a look at the car. But by then there was too much damage to the gearbox, so we had to miss the race.
And when did you get that feedback then? When did Cupra come back with you? Was it during the weekend or was it between then and now?
It was during the weekend, just before qualifying. So he did put the missing part in, but I still couldn't change gear when I went out because gear 4s, 3, 4 and 5 were all heavily damaged.
You clearly done pretty well then to get here to Donington, and then obviously you stuck it 0.021 of a second away from Chris Smiley, one of the best touring car racers in the country. Are you pleased or are you a little bit annoyed that you didn't quite get there?
After Alton Park, I'm definitely pleased, but when you're that close, you always want a bit more, and there was definitely more time in the lap, but I'm on the front row, good start, and I should be able to challenge him.
Now, I'm sure Chris Smiley won't mind me saying this, but you look significantly younger than him. How old are you exactly?
I'm 17.
You must have done a fair bit of practice to get to this point. Have you done much car racing before? Is it just karting?
No, these TCRs are the first cars I've driven. Other than that, it's just karting beforehand.
So how much testing, how long have you had the car? Because some drivers have only picked them up last week or just before Alton Park.
Well, this car we got in October. But we had the same car previously. This is just a updated car. It's newer parts, fits a bit fresher. So I think it is a quicker car in general.
Fair play. What's the plan for race 1 then? Obviously you're starting just behind, or alongside Chris, I should say, shouldn't you? Is there an aim to get into T1 first, or are you going to sort of play the race, see how it feels?
It all depends on my start. If I get off the line and I'm alongside, then I've not got anything to lose really compared to him. He's in the second in the championship. I didn't score, so if the chance is there, I'm gonna go for it. But if not, then I'll slot him behind him and work my move.
Well, that's what we like to hear. Good luck for race 1, and maybe we'll be having a chat to you later.
Cheers.
I'm joined now by Rob Butler. Now, Rob, we are going to chat about Alton Park, but first of all, you got a snazzy new suit, you got a snazzy new team. Tell us about Garage 81.
Yeah, it was an opportunity that came along with a friend of mine, Max Goff, and myself. We got Neil on board, so we decided we'd put a team together for this weekend and see how it goes and see how it develops. So far we're very happy with where we're at.
How did the move come about?
Myself and Max have been discussing for years. We raced karts from when we were 8 years old together, all over the world. We spent a lot of time together, and I suppose it was a childhood dream to have a race team, and the opportunity came about. We've had some fantastic support from Stuart Lyons, the organiser, and Nikki, and they really helped us make it happen. We done it in the space of 2 weeks, so yeah, we don't look the prettiest this weekend, but we'll take it. The cars are going well. Both cars are going well now, so yeah, we're really pleased.
We have to talk about Alton Park. It was a bit of a disaster. Talk us through the story.
Yeah, look, it was a difficult weekend for the whole team. We had a couple of issues we didn't manage to iron out, and unfortunately we weren't able to do it before the race, and everybody gave 100%, and some weekends in motorsport you've got more of them like that than you do good ones, and it just makes the good ones feel better.
Yeah, exactly that. So considering Alton Park. 10th here at Donington in qualifying, of course, before race 1. That must feel pretty good. Do you think you're on the right track?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the car was good enough for pole, you know what, and that was it. But unfortunately, on Friday we had a carryover of some issues from Alton. We didn't get any testing prior to the event, apart from yesterday. I think I've done 2 laps. I've never driven the circuit before, and especially in something this quick. You know, the Civic, we done a little bit of racing here last year, but unfortunately I had an off in testing, and yeah, I had qualifying in 1 race around the national circuit, but there's a big difference between 112 mile an hour at an apex and 132 mile an hour at an apex of down the Cranes. So qualifying was more a test session first than it was a qualifying session. We started on old tyre, red flag came out, and we only got 1 run on a new set. So if we had the second set, yeah, I probably could have found a bit more, and I got a bit excited out of the last corner and lit the wheels up. So yeah, look, it was a learning curve, and you know, I know the race car is good enough to move forward today.
I was going to say, what are we expecting from you? Because you touched upon it then. The car feels good. You feel a bit better about it. Got some confidence. What can we expect?
I think just from looking at the sector times yesterday, it's one of those circuits. The slipstream is going to be very big in the Gulf because of its brick-like shape, compared to some of the slicker cars like the Audi and even the Cupra, for example. So I think if we can move forward, the aim's got to be top 5, but we'll take anywhere in the top 10 for the reverse grid, and we'll go from there.
Well, brilliant. Good luck for race 1, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you later.
Thank you. I hope so too.
It's time to catch up with highlights from round 3 of the TCR UK Championship. I'm going to hand over to our race commentators, Jake Stanson and Andy McEwen, to see how the drivers have qualified.
And what a starting grid it promises to be. Chris Smiley on the pole position, Hugo Cook in a fantastic second place despite the troubles at Alton Park. Adam Shepherd and Max Hart will duel down to the first corner on the second row of the grid. And it is going to be a very interesting one for Isaac Smith in P5. Lewis Kent alongside him in the Hyundai Veloster. Brad Hutchinson and Jamie Tonks on row 4. Going to be interesting as rounding out the top 10. Bradley Kent is there alongside Rob Butler, who we heard from earlier on. Then in P11 on the grid, it is Bruce Winfield. He lines up alongside the Alton Park Race 2 winner, Jess Hawkins. Then it's Alex Lee, who is alongside Matthew Wilson in his Cupra Leon Competition. Then it is Scott Sumpton in the Hyundai i30N, and Andy Wilmot is there in his machine. And then we have Jack Depper in the VW Golf alongside Russell Joyce, the young man from Chelmsford. It's going to be a tough race from row 10 for Ant Wharton-Eales in the Subaru, and then Darrell Wilson in the Vauxhall Astra will be P20. Steve Gales is alongside Chris Wallace as they share the 11th row of the starting grid. Behind them, it's going to be Neil Trotter, who lines up alongside the Cupra of Mark Smith. Rounding out the field, it is Jack Constable in his Cupra TCR, with plenty of great race action to come.
Yeah, red lights on then, ready to go racing in round number 3 of TCR UK. Away we go on board with Hugo Cook, and look at the start made by Max Hart, the joint championship leader, up into second place already, and may even challenge for the race lead. Dives to the inside into Redgate corner, but there's no way through. Smiley leads them then, second place for Max Hart, and in the mid-pack here, it could not be closer.
Very good start, Jack Constable. Let's have a ride on board with him on the replay of the start from the back of the grid as he charges his way down to Redgate corner. Oh, goodness me, Brad Hutchinson barely away at all, and thank goodness everybody avoided him.
Yeah, neither Audi actually got off the line well. Hutchinson was very slow, and actually Hugo Cook from row 1 slipped backwards as well, and that did create a bit of jostling for position in the midfield. Now, halfway around the opening lap, Alex Lee there in the blue Hyundai making his debut in the championship, already gaining ground as they round McLean's at the top end of the circuit. Cold tyres, everyone fighting for track position, but look how tight it is at the top.
A couple of drivers running wide at the back of the field. We're on board with Isaac Smith, and here comes Lewis Kent, the reigning champion, trying to get on the inside as they come down to the chicane for the first time. Lewis Kent going the long way round. He's going to need to be brave on the brakes here. He gets it very late, tries to tidy it up, but Isaac Smith is wise to that one. Lewis Kent just gets a radiator full of gravel.
Yeah, straight through the gravel, rejoins, doesn't lose a position, but nor does he manage to find a way through. On board with Hugo Cook. On the inside goes Jamie Tonks in his new Cupra. locks up, goes wide though, and Bradley Kent and Bruce Winfield need no second invitation. Straight through on the inside they scoot, and an early mistake there for Tonks, who is enjoying his new car, but perhaps needs to work a little bit on cold brakes.
Yeah, that's the replay of him just getting it a little bit too deep into the apex of the Melbourne Loop hairpin. So as they complete the first lap, it is Chris Smiley out in front ahead of Shepherd as the field works its way down the main straight. Still very closely matched, these TCR cars. Great to see a full field of them. We're on board with Tonks once again, as that's Bruce Winfield up in front of us. He's trying to make some gains as we head down to the Craner curves on the second lap.
Yeah, Jack Constable in this group had an engine change after qualifying. That's why he's at the back of the grid, charging up behind Matthew Wilson and dives up the inside of the newer Cupra. One more place gain for the Power Max Racing driver. Down through the old hairpin, here's the fight for the race lead. Shepherd on the attack, gets into the right rear corner of Chris Smiley's Honda, and off goes the championship leader. Big drama for Smiley. Shepherd hanging on to the lead, but only just.
Chris Smiley in pit lane here at Donington Park. That's what happens when you traverse the grass flat on the throttle. It's not gone well at all for him, and a victory well and truly taken away. Here's what happened. Round the outside, Shepherd trying to get alongside Smiley. He didn't quite manage it. Smiley held his racing line. Shepherd just caught the right rear quarter. There it is again from another angle. Smiley absolutely blameless. Nothing he could do about that one. Shepherd just about managing to keep the lead despite a little bit of a rub there from the 101 of Max Hart.
Oh, now Bruce Winfield in trouble as well. He's been suffering, we believe, from a bit of a misfire, and the car is slow as it heads towards McLean's. Alex Lee, the next driver to look to try and take advantage of that. Bruce Winfield, second in the championship last year, has not had the ideal start to the 2022 season, nor has Rob Butler, who also has mechanical drama.
Yeah, that's really not gone his way at all, Rob Butler. The battle for second place continuing on unabated. Hart is now leading in front of Shepherd, so he did manage to get through. We're on board with Lewis Kent. That is Adam Shepherd in front of us. So obviously Shepherd losing a bit of ground now to Hart, who has extended quite a decent gap over the man in behind him. There's Isaac Smith making his move on Jamie Tonks.
Yeah, the Golf a little bit heavier this weekend as some balanced performance changes were made after Alton Park, and Jamie Tonks really getting to grips now with his new Cupra. Down into the old hairpin they go. The Golf just about ahead of Tonks, but that fast R car is absolutely flying this weekend. So too Lewis Kent, who is challenging now for second place heading up the hill. Isaac Smith having to defend from Tonks. It's all go.
Oh my goodness, there's barely any room at all. A cigarette paper is all that separates the two of them at the crest of the apex. Now he's trying to come up alongside, a little bit of a rub with Smith. Tonks is there to the inside line. Surely he can finish this off. He's going to chop across to ensure that he's not going to get a retaliation. The dust has been kicked off in front of him. Tonks clips the curb. That's enough for Smith to get him back on the switcheroo.
Brilliant overtaking there for both of them, actually. A good move from Tonks and then opportunistic from Isaac Smith. The three-way fight for second makes its way onto the Melbourne Loop though. Still Adam Shepherd ahead of Lewis and Bradley Kent. The two brothers both trying to gang up here on the 117 car. Lewis Kent almost into the back of Adam Shepherd, pushing him through the Melbourne hairpin. Proper touchy-feely touring car action here in round 3 of the championship.
But check out the slide from Brad Kent when he traversed the curbs as he went through the chicane. He was absolutely on the lock stops. He looked a little bit more rallycross than anything else. Kent again trying to get through on Smith, and this is Tonks and Isaac Smith once again. Isaac Smith is going to be slower out of the hairpin. Tonks trying to go the long way round. No room to negotiate. Now he suddenly realises that Tonks is there and goes, right, okay, I need to give you a little bit more space. Tonks commits to it. Lovely move.
Yeah, that's not ideal for Isaac Smith, is it? But a brilliant battle between the two of them. Steve Gale's heading back out onto the circuit after a brief visit to the pit lane. One of 3 Audis entered into the races this weekend. Up through Coppice then we go. Bradley Kent now ahead of Lewis, looking to third place. So the Kent brothers swapping positions. We saw that on the picture-in-picture going into Redgate Corner. And now what can Bradley Kent do about Shepherd? Because Lewis has been sat behind Adam for most of the race. Can Bradley do what his brother has been unable to do and get into second place?
He's so good through the chicane. Look, he skips over the crest of the curb there. Really nicely done. Now he's going to come up to the Melbourne Loop. As the time is breaking to perfection, he's not going to get him here. He needs to reel him in a little bit more before he commits to the overtake. Lots of curb and a little bit of grass kicked up by Shepherd as he goes through the right-hander. Now they're coming up to the final turn, even more kicked up by Tonks. Goodness me, these guys really are stretching the limit of what these cars can do. As Lewis Kent there is actually really struggling to keep up with these two now. I wonder if he's overheated the tyres.
Yeah, quite possibly. Still learning about this new Hyundai Veloster, of course. Only the third race that he's done in the new car. Further back, Andrew Eels here moving up through the order, and Brad Hutchinson rather dropping down it. Remember, Brad had a good qualifying effort. He's out on the grass, out of the final corner. He wants back on the track. And Eels having absolutely none of it. Lots of door banging. Hutchinson, I think, will hold on to the place, but that was a little bit physical.
That was very cheeky. How many times did they make contact on the main straight? That was at least 4 for my money. And there is Winfield trying to get himself back into the hunt, but that misfire isn't going to help him at all as he now closes in on Wilson down the hill as Darrell Wilson has come into the pits now. In the inside of the old hairpin goes Winfield, commits over the curbs. He should get a decent trajectory. That's nicely done, but they need to watch out for Jack Constable. Here he comes. He's going to try and go the long way round and cut across on the inside for the switch. This is a good run from Constable, and he commits. Lovely move.
Nicely done. Another place gained and 1 place closer to the top 10. Remember, the race 2 grid sees the top 10 from this race reverse, so could be on for a pole position. Here comes Brad Kemp round the outside of Adam Shepherd. A beautiful move into the Fogarty S's, judged that to perfection. And finally, Shepherd is dropped down onto the third step of the podium. Bradley still having to defend a little low into the Melbourne hairpin, gets the car stopped. And Brad, who desperately needs points this weekend, had a rotten Alton Park season opener. Things are going much better so far here at Donington.
That was really tactical from Brad Kent. Placed his car in the middle of the road at the apex. No issue. Hugo Cook! Hugo Cook's got mechanical problems. He's out of it.
Ah, Hugo, what does he have to do for a bit of good fortune? Stuck it on the front row, and for the third race in a row, mechanical dramas look like they're going to cost him dear. He bounces over the grass. There he goes. The other Audi of Steve Gales is back in the pits as well. Not a great day to be an Audi driver. It's now all down to Brad Hutchinson to try and restore some honour, and he gains a couple of places on that lap. So Brad starting now to recover well.
Well, this is a replay of Neil Trotter, and he's having a nice little battle here with Willis. Whoops! That's what happens when you wash out over the Fogarty S's, and he goes straight through the gravel. It's very easy to get that wrong. You just sideswipe the curb at the wrong angle, and you're obviously on the lock stops. That's Depper getting out of the way and just letting everybody go. And we're in the pits with Cook and Gales. That's a sorry sight for the guys at Stuttgart.
Yeah, a bit of an Audi car park down in the pit lane, but hopefully they'll get those cars fixed for race 2. Bruce Winfield slow again as well. Now, Bruce, he's been having this intermittent misfire issue, and I wonder if maybe now it's starting to look a little bit more serious. Right, back to the battling at the front then, and on board with Jamie Tonks. If you'd have told Jamie at the start of the weekend he'd be inside the top 5, challenging the reigning champion for 4th at the end of race 1, I think he'd have been quite happy with that. He is on a mission and looks quicker than Lewis right now.
And look at Lewis, he's actually having to really change his line in terms of where he positions himself in the braking zone for that chicane. He's going later and later as Constable loses out there in the first corner to Wilson. Wilson getting through and giving himself a nice overtake, but he's not quite as fast on the exit. He had to pull across Constable to get the draw out of Redgate. And now we've got Kent still trying to defend here from Tonks. In the background, you've still got Isaac Smith and then Alex Lee in P7 from Hutchinson. And Wharton Eels and Jack Constable from the back of the grid have charged beautifully into the top 10, haven't they?
They have indeed, although Matt Wilson getting back ahead of Constable there means that Matt is currently on course for the race 2 pole position. Back on board with Tonks, much later on the brakes into Redgate corner, forcing Lewis Kent to drive defensively. Surely Jamie can't go right round the outside. Chops back to the inside, the door will almost certainly be closed. It's not, there's a gap just about, and Jamie Tonks is into 4th. Kent fights back though, side by side through the Craner curves into the right-hander at the old hairpin, and Tonks goes ahead, drifts a bit wide, drifts very wide, all over the grass he goes, and Kent goes back through. Terrific battle.
That's the problem with being on the inside line of the old hairpin. You wash out on the outside as we see Depper trying to get back onto the circuit once again. But Lewis Kent was really playing the percentages there. Let's have another look at it. So Jamie Tonks is there on the inside through the Craners. Lewis Kent gets the inside for the left-hand apex. So Tonks decides to commit. But look, he's missed his braking point by about half a metre. He's got a tighter trajectory. He can't hold it. Runs wide on the curb. Thank you very much. See you later.
Oh, and that's Andrew Wilmot going even wider there than we just saw Tonks go at the old hairpin. That's on the exit of Coppice Corner. The Jam Sport Racing Hyundai rejoins the circuit, albeit having lost quite a bit of ground. Andy Wilmot had a couple of moments with that car at Alton, it must be said. Thought that he was starting to get on with it a bit better here at Donington. Donington, that may be not the case.
Well, here is Matthew Wilson looking good for a top 10 finish, and in P10, as you mentioned earlier, Andy, that is going to put him pole position for race 2. So he's looking very sensible there indeed. And for Antwort Niels, 9th position, that'll be nice and tidy for the Subaru. He's got a chance of a race 2 win.
Yeah, given the fact he started deep in the field, back end of the top 20, of course, and that Subaru running well here this weekend. Now running wide is Adam Shepherd, and there's almost a bit of door banging as Lewis Kent takes advantage. Lewis moving through. Jamie Tonks needs to try and follow him here because he knows that he's still got a chance to get past the Veloster as well. On the outside line, into Goddard's, turns towards the apex. I think he's cleared him, and Adam Shepherd, maybe with a problem actually, was very wide there and didn't seem to have an answer to Jamie as they headed towards the last corner.
That was pure desperation for Shepherd, wasn't it? He knew he'd messed up. He's actually gone into the pits. You were absolutely right. And so Adam Shepherd coming in. Hugo Cook has got out of his Audi, so he's done. Adam Shepherd bails and comes into the pits. That's a real shame. I think he knew he made the mistake there. At the time, I think he was trying to hold the position as much as possible by cutting back across Lewis Kent, but he quickly realised, wait, this is going to be a bit of a terminal issue. 3rd position, the fight continues for the final place on the podium and the valuable championship points that go with it. Kent versus Tonks. They climb up the hill once more, and this is going to be an interesting one for Tonks because Kent is going to try and squeeze him at the apex. He will commit round the outside. Kent is being very protective on the inside apex, hops over the curb. Tonks is going to have another run.
Yeah, and again, immediately, look, Lewis moves to the right-hand side to cover into Coppice Corner. There's no doubt that Tonks is quicker, but every time he has a chance to go through, either the door is closed or Jamie seems to make a small mistake. Look, almost got into the back there of Lewis Kent, and possibly a missed gear or a dodgy gear shift for Tonks means that the Veloster just scoots away slightly. On board with the number 1 car, the reigning champion, sideways into the chicane, over the curbs, an all-action area of the circuit, and an important corner because a bad exit from there will leave you vulnerable down into the Melbourne hairpin. That's exactly what happens, look, and once more Lewis has to drive defensively on the way in. He's hanging on here, but by the skin of his teeth.
He's spending as much time looking in the mirrors as he is at the windscreen, and Jamie Tonks is able to drive around the outside, get himself a position. Now look, he's going ultra defensive into the hairpin. That's never going to work. He's overshot. Something might have gone wrong there on the brakes for Jamie Tonks. I wonder if they've overheated, because that was not just a simple defensive move, as Adam Shepherd is looking to get out onto the circuit. But last lap, and Bradley Kent running in 2nd place. He can't quite keep up with Max Hart, but it looks like it's going to be the brothers Kent in 2nd and 3rd position. But what will happen between Smith, Tonks and Lee on the last lap?
Yeah, Isaac Smith out of nowhere here, gaining some more ground at the end of the race, and important for his championship hopes. Remember, came here 3rd in the championship and now finds himself ahead of Jamie Tonks as we start this final lap of the race, dropping downhill, down a gear, using plenty of curb on the inside and outside of the old hairpin as they both kick up a bit of dust there. Jamie Tonks needs to try and regroup here, running out of time, but still I think has the potential to get that 4th place back.
See, I think Lewis Kent doesn't feel that 3rd position is safe yet. He's got these 3 guys right on his tail, Smith, Tonks and Lee. All it's going to take is a little bit of an issue as somebody's bodywork is actually there. That might be from one of the rear splitters that's just come off on the circuit. Fortunately, it's off the racing line as Max Hart is coming through the Melbourne Loop for the last time. Nice and simple from his point of view. No real issues for Max Hart. That was clinical and absolutely disciplined. Beautiful drive.
And with Chris Smiley 14th after a visit to the pit lane, this is big news in the championship. It's Max Hart's 1st victory of the season, his 3rd career TCR UK race win, and it comes at a crucial time. Checkered flag for the young Irishman and a crushing victory. Look, Bradley Kent is several seconds behind. It does meanwhile look like it will be a pair of Kent brothers on the podium for 4th place though. Isaac Smith still with a bit of defensive work to do here. Jamie Tonks looking for the exit. I don't think he's quite going to get there.
This is going to be on the throttle. It'll be tight, but yes, Smith will just hold on from Tonks and Lee. Great racing right the way to the flag. Hutchinson getting himself in 7th position at the end there. Antwort Niels is going to come to 8th position in front of Matthew Wilson. And would you believe it, the man who started dead last, Jack Constable, should be getting 10th position, but look, he's lost out to Sumpton and Joyce on the last lap. So Scott Sumpton is going to get pole position for race 2. What a finish.
Max Hart wins round number 3 of the TCR UK Championship with Bradley Kent second. A post-race penalty for Lewis Kent, though, for overtaking off track demotes him back behind Isaac Smith, so Isaac will round out those podium finishers. Outside the top 10, Russell Joyce and Jack Constable just miss out on a race 2 pole position, whilst Chris Smiley is only 14th. Big disappointment for the joint championship leader coming into that race. Adam Shepherd likewise won't be happy with 20th. Lots of promise for Hugo Cook comes to nothing, only 21st for the youngster.
I'm here with Max Hart, race 1 winner, of course, and Max, that must feel pretty good.
Yeah, it feels unbelievable. Firstly, I just want to say thanks so much to my sponsors. Without them, I wouldn't be able to be here, but I'm super happy with the result and delighted to be able to represent my sponsors and give them the first place podium. So I know the next race is going to be very tough, but I'll be getting my head down and I'll be trying to get the job done.
Well, fantastic. Congratulations on the race victory. 10th obviously starting in race number 2, hopefully, and it'd be pretty miraculous if we do. We'll have a chat to you on the podium after race 2.
Hopefully. Thank you very much.
The first half was definitely hectic. To be honest with you, I let all the boys in front of me do their thing. I've always been taught, even from karting, just let them get on with it. You're always going to find someone's off, and exactly that happened. So I sat back, let it happen until the point of where Lewis was behind Adam, which I then I got past Lewis, which was a bit lucky, and the same again with Adam. But no, as soon as I could get past Adam, I knew I was quicker than him, and I just created a gap and then maintained the car until the end of the race. So it's perfect, really.
I'm here with Isaac Smith in P3. Now, Lewis Kent did cross the line in P3, but of course you've inherited it a little bit later on. Talk us through that.
Yeah, so Lewis and I had a little bit of contact together, and I ended up off worse, and he ended off in the better, and he took my position, and the clerk of the course reversed that as it was gained unfairly, so we ended up back in 3rd place.
40 kilograms of ballast still on board the car. Talk us through how that changes the car and what your plan is for race 2.
Yeah, so it's going to be all on action, I cannot lie. It's just how it always is in touring cars, and we love it. So it's going to be get the head down, make some places, score some points.
I'm here with vice champion Bruce Winfield. Bruce, you finished 18th. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's get straight into race 1. 18th is out of position for you. Tell us the story.
Didn't qualify quite where we'd like to have qualified, and then, made good progress at the start. I struggled with the starts at the last round at Donington Park, so I've been away, practiced that. So the start was good, made some positions up off the start, went my way up from 12th up to 5th, 6th position, and then unfortunately we had a bit of a misfire, so I had to kill the car and restart it a couple of times, cost me a load of places. And then ultimately we had an issue with the front left, so had to pit, went back out. But by that time, we were quite far down the grid, so trying to make places up from there was always going to be difficult. But at least it means that we're not going to start so far back in the last race, second race of the day. We just start 18th, get our head down, get a good start, and go and have some fun.
I was going to say we'll come to race 2 in a second because it sounds like you got a bit of a plan, which is go forward.
Yeah.
You cut your teeth in Civic Cup, of course, which is almost the sister championship to the TCR, of course, with Maximum Motorsport. Tell us about your experience in Civic Cup, because of course you won the championship.
Yeah, I won the championship 2020. I've started 18th before actually in the Civic Cup. We made good progress in that race. So obviously we hope to be doing the same in this one. We know we're fast enough to be a lot further ahead than where we're starting. So get our head down. Like I say, good start, make good progress, and see how far into the top 10 we can get.
Civic Cup is one of those championships just like the TCR and a lot of tin top racing. You get a lot of experience racing wheel to wheel and door to door, don't you? There's no sort of holding back from a lot of drivers. What's that sort of taught you? Has that helped you going forward into the TCRs?
Yeah, Civic Cup taught me a lot. And then Rob Baker, the guy who runs Air Motorsport, he won the championship the year before I won it, I think it was, or maybe the year prior to that. It was always good to learn from him and look at his data compared to mine and that kind of thing. So, I actually started off doing time attack. So, going from time attack into Civic Cup, like you say, it was door to door, wheel to wheel, starting on a grid as opposed to just chasing a lap time like qualifying. Civic Cup taught me a lot, and we did 3 years in that. The 3rd year we won the championship, and then progressed to TCR last season. So.
What was the thought process when jumping to TCR? Was it an obvious decision, obviously, to stay in the Maximum Motorsport sort of ecosystem?
Yeah, it kind of seems like a natural progression. Still front wheel drive, obviously more power, and obviously the grids are just getting bigger and bigger each year. So last year was obviously smaller than this year. So yeah, it seemed like the right step for us to do to kind of progress. And so far so good. It's been good for us. Last year was a massive learning curve, learning to use slicks and learning the cars setup wise and stuff like that for how I like the car to handle. Unfortunately, it's not all going our way at the moment. Try and do the best we can.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed he will do the best he can. Thank you very much for having a chat to us. Good luck for race number 2. We'll see you charging through the order, I'm sure.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
A dominant performance from Max Hart saw him take victory in round 3 here at Donington. Round 4 won't be so easy. A top 10 reverse grid will see him start in 10th place. How does he get on? Well, let's find out with the commentators Jake Sanson and Andy McKeown.
Well, there's pressure on the 17-year-old Scott Sumpton then to go on pole position from the start. He'll have Matthew Wilson alongside him on that front row of the starting grid, with Ant Wharton-Eales threatening in 3rd place on the grid. So Sumpton and Wilson on the front row. That'll be fascinating to see who gets first into Redgate. But Wharton-Eales will be alongside Brad Hutchinson in the Audi RS3. Row 3 of the grid will see Alex Lee and Jamie Tonks as they battle for the first corner. The 4th row of the grid will see Lewis Kent alongside the Tom Walker Trophy winner from race 1, that's Isaac Smith. The 5th row of the grid, it's Bradley Kent and the race 1 winner, Max Hart, starting down in P10. The race 1 Goodyear Diamond Trophy winner Russell Joyce is 11th alongside the hard-charging Jack Constable. And then on row 7, it's Andrew Wilmot, and he's there alongside Chris Smiley, who was pole in race 1. Then, of course, it's Chris Wallace alongside Neil Trotter. They share the 8th row of the grid. And then in P17, it's Mark Smith alongside Bruce Winfield. Watch him charging his way through the gaggle. And then it's Jack Depper alongside Adam Shepherd, another driver who's not going to be staying around in P20 for long. Steve Gales is alongside Hugo Cook. What can he salvage from this weekend? And then on the 12th row of the grid, Darrell Wilson and Jess Hawkins will want to make an impact in this second race. From the back, Rob Butler needs a little bit of luck on his side.
He's had nothing but bad luck so far, Rob Butler. Let's see what he can do then. Round number 4 of the championship. Red lights out, away we go, and what a start from Ant Wharton-Eales from 3rd on the grid. The Subaru will grab the advantage as they head towards Redgate for the first time. A brilliant sight and sound, the rest of the field makes, but it's Wharton-Eales versus Hutchinson for the lead. Brad Hutchinson away much better in race 2. Understandably though, can't quite get round the outside of Wharton-Eales, so it is the Subaru out in front.
And Wharton-Eales, like Moses parting the Red Sea, just dived in the middle and managed to get the lead into the braking zone. Max Hart really enjoying himself. Sumpton's got an issue, I think, because he's very slow away. He's lost a good 6 or 7 places already from pole. As we ride on board with Alex Lee, they come out of the old hairpin, up the hill. This is going to get interesting as Max Hart comes around the outside, trying to pick up his move on Matthew Wilson, and he's there to the braking zone. He'll outbrake, he'll get through up the right-hander. Desperately trying to stay off the grass at this point. It's all getting pretty busy.
Max Hart started 10th. He's 4th already after only 3 or 4 corners. Phenomenal stuff. Matthew Wilson there getting elbowed out wide by Isaac Smith and Chris Smiley. Chris Smiley making good progress as well, as he needs to after that disappointment in race 1. So Wharton-Eales leads, Hutchinson 2nd, Lewis Kent and Max Hart together 3rd and 4th. Alex Lee is there in 5th position. Side by side further back, Jack Constable struggling to get around the outside.
Oh!
Matthew Wilson, Smith is sideways and Wilson is off the road completely. Isaac Smith with a mistake, but I fear that although he's rejoining, Matthew Wilson will not be so lucky.
No, he completely washed out in the middle of the chicane. And Wharton-Eales trying to defend the move. That's Max Hart into 3rd position. He made the move into the hairpin there past Lewis Kent. Max Hart could make this the double act if he keeps this up.
This is phenomenal driving from the young Irishman, and of course as the leaders battle, that will further assist him in catching them up. So, a historic moment here, and Wharton-Eales getting the first lap led in TCR UK for a Subaru. Many people didn't think that would be happening this early in the season. It's got Brad Hutchinson right behind him, and then the storming Max Hart. Through they go, on board with Max, and the battle on for the race lead again. Hutchinson looking to the outside, looking to the inside line. Can Max use this to his advantage? Yes, he can. Up the inside of the Audi, wheel to wheel for 2nd place through the Craner curves. Sensibly though, Max not taking a huge risk here. Backs out, and the safety car out anyway. So safety car out for Matthew Wilson's car off the road. Good news really that for the race leader, I think, because he was really starting to feel the pressure.
It's great news for Ant Wharton-Eales. It's not great news for Max Hart, because what he had was momentum, and now that's going to be really held up. This is what happened. You can see here Wilson battling with Constable, and what happens? Look, he lost it on his own. He had no contact from anybody else, unfortunately. He just lost the back end of the car into the left-hander of the chicane. Here's what happened to Isaac Smith. He goes full Colin McRae, doesn't he? Loses the back end, manages to traverse the gravel, but that's cost him a good 4 or 5 places. What a shame for Isaac Smith.
Replay here as well from on board with the pole sitter Scott Sumpton. Just doesn't quite get off the line that well. Look what a start it was from Ward Neals though. Blasted through into the lead, gets over to the inside to cover from Brad Hutchinson. And Scott Sumpton at this point just about hanging on to that 4th place. Bit of oversteer as he turns in on cold tyres. That loses him more ground, unfortunately. The snowball effect really, with a pack of hungry drivers behind him. They were not going to waste that opportunity to move past.
Yeah, it's so easy. You give an inch and they take a mile. They are not going to be particularly forgiving. Jack Constable slicing it on the inside. Look, it just gets worse and worse. All it takes is one slight open door. Smiley's come through, Tonks has come through. Absolute disaster as far as Scott Sumpton is concerned. That's the worst way to learn about how to get the start wrong from a reverse grid pole. Here we go, green, 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 down to the first corner, and Ward Neals has got a decent advantage off the line. That comes with experience. He's been able to get the restart pretty much spot on. So now it's up to Hutchinson to try and stay with him. What can Max Hart do from P3?
Shepherd in the pit lane, damage to the front of his Hyundai. Not been a day to remember really for Adam, a day that promised much, but ultimately delivering relatively little. Now back to the race leaders, and Max Hart is going for 2nd place. A terrific exit there from the final corner, got the traction, got the momentum, got the place. 2nd position now for Max Hart. Can he get over to the inside just to cover? In fact, he might even try and go for the lead. Look how late he is on the brakes, and Ward Neals will have to get his elbows out. That is something that Andy's very good at. He elbows the Hyundai out wide. Contact as well for Hutchinson. What a save for the Audi driver. It is all kicking off on the resumption of round number 4.
That was Ward Neals' short oval experience coming into count there, as Adam Shepherd are going to try and send him back out again. Hopefully there is enough duct tape in the world to get him back on the track. Now this is what happened with Max Hart. Into Redgate, goes the long way round. Watch Ward Neals. No, you don't. Pulls right across. How on earth did Max Hart save that? And that very, very nearly caught out Brad Hutchinson. He went on the grass, and as we look at it from another angle, look how close Hutchinson had to the mother of all accidents.
Yeah, he was trying to avoid what he thought would be a spinning Max Hart. Hart actually saved it, but Hutchinson came across on Lewis Kent. Right then, here we go again, side by side down the pit straight, and this time I reckon Max Hart might be able to do it. The Subaru is struggling in a straight line, and I think Max, he's looking in the mirror. Can he get across? He so desperately wants to get to that inside line, and he does. So the race 1 winner from 10th on the grid in race 2 hits the front, and the pace he's got this weekend, that might be the last we see of him.
Even Ward Neals knew that he was not going to come back from that. Darrell Wilson out of the race, unfortunately, so that is game over for him. This is not going to be an easy one to try and figure out. Lewis Kent trying to go round the outside in the old hairpin of Brad Hutchinson. That is the mother of all overtakes from Lewis Kent. And now Chris Smiley is going to be the next one to take him on. Jack Constable is right with him as well. So as they come up the hill into the right-hander, even the leader's pushing hard here. Max Hart knows he's got to get away. Smiley on the inside of Hutchinson. Constable's going to go with him. This is going to be an absolute ding-dong.
Bit of contact there between Smiley and Hutchinson. Pries the door open. The Audi loses one place but tries to fight back as Constable's there as well. 3 wide. Contact made. How they save that, I will never know. And look now, Alex Lee up the inside as well. The youngster could stand to gain at least 2 places out of this. Brilliant driving. Winfield's there as well. 3 wide through the chicane. Will not work. Constable through the gravel. But they're all still going. Don't ask me how. That was brilliant racing.
Jamie Tonks was able to gain a little bit of an advantage as a result of that one. Chris Smiley trying to get there on the inside of Lewis Kent. Tonks having to defend from Winfield. 3 wide further back as well. I'm running out of directions to look in. That's TCR UK all over. Hart stretching away from Ward Neals. Lewis Kent is there in 3rd place from Smiley, and then Alex Lee. Hutchinson, and now we've got Tonks side by side with Constable. Winfield trying to get up the inside in the final bend. They get back on the straightaway, and this is going to be interesting as we only have 11 minutes left to sort this out. And Ward Neals struggling to maintain 2nd. This could get pretty spicy for the final 2 places on the podium.
Alex Lee, in only his 2nd ever race in the championship, is in the top 5. The Fiesta Junior graduate, really impressing here. He's going to try and fend off a feisty Brad Hutchinson though. Max Hart is gone. Max Hart is loving all of the fighting that he's seeing in his wing mirrors because he is disappearing up the road. Ward Neals 2nd, Lewis Kent now in 3rd position. A 10-second time penalty there being applied to Daryl Wilson for being out of position at the start, but this is the fight for second. Lewis Kent on the attack, goes to the left, he's on the grass. Surely that's not going to work round the outside at McLean's corner. We know what Antwerp Niels is going to do. Leads on the Hyundai, into the gravel goes Lewis Kent, and that could be really costly because Smiley goes through. Lee is going to try and get through on the inside line as well. They need to be careful here as Kent rejoins. There's maybe a touch, and I think he's off again. Yes, he is. Lewis Kent off through the gravel again, and that could be really, really costly for the reigning champ.
Well, Lewis Kent losing a mother of all places there, I'm afraid. He's going to rejoin just in front of Daryl Wilson, but he's not going to have the traction into the chicane. Surely he's had two big offs then in the space of about 30 seconds, and now Depper's going to get the momentum to get past Daryl Wilson. Look at the lockup of the brakes there from Antwerp Niels as he desperately tries to get things slow. Alex Lee takes a punt in the back from Brad Hutchinson.
That is one way to pass, I suppose, isn't it? Hutchinson goes through. This is definitely touring car racing, isn't it? They are getting rather physical in our second race here at Donington. And Hutchinson back ahead of Alex Lee. Winfield on the outside, Tonks on the inside line. Chris Smiley wants out of this, doesn't he? And he can see a bit of clean air just within distance here. He's got to try and find a way past the Subaru of Antwerp Niels, which is sideways under braking into Redgate Corner. But Chris Smiley wants nothing to do with this battling going on behind him.
Daryl Wilson into the pits, joining Matthew Wilson on the sidelines potentially by the look of it, so it's going to be really interesting. Antwerp Niels down the hill, Chris Smiley right behind him. Are you really racing touring cars if you don't swap paint? Here comes Smiley on the inside through the old hairpin, second place. He nailed that one, absolutely perfect. And Scott Sumpton is in the pit lane, the pole position sitter, so he must have developed a problem. Oh yes, he has. Puncture on the left front.
That is a real shame for Scott Sumpton, but he'll be back next time out to try and continue his learning and development in the championship. 17 years of age is Scott. Really remarkable to see these youngsters thriving in TCR UK. Right, deep breath everyone. We still have a few more laps of this race to go. Chris Smiley escaping in second place, and now the battle is for third because Brad Hutchinson, who's been up and down like the proverbial yo-yo in this race, is now right on the fringes of a top three position again. He challenges Ward Niels into the chicane, but look at the queue of drivers forming behind them.
Yeah, Tonks is really starting to get his weight in there now with Bruce Winfield in front of him. Winfield closing up on Lee. Lee closing up on Hutchinson. Hutchinson going right round the outside. Oh, Lee's gone into the side of Ward Niels and Hutchinson. Oh dear, it looked like he was so busy defending, he didn't see that he was going to go into the warpath of the two cars in front.
Oh, Brad Hutchinson will be furious, and Antwerp Niels as well, because the Subaru is slowing. That must be damage, as a legacy of the contact bits of Audi go flying from Hutchinson's car. Scott Sumpton having a tyre change, but that was real drama out on the Melbourne Loop. Scott Sumpton is going to lose at least one lap here. You can see the shredded left front tyre, which does take a pounding round here at Donington Park. Real shame.
Now this is what happened with Lewis Kent earlier on with Antwerp Niels. I'm surprised actually that Lewis Kent decided to brave it around the outside of Antwerp Niels. He's not the customer to trifle with, is he? He managed to rejoin the circuit and obviously, unfortunately, binned it a corner later. Now, what happened with Alex Lee? Look, he's so busy defending Bruce Winfield, he suddenly misses his braking point.
Yeah, distracted by the car behind, and poor old Antwerp Niels and Brad Hutchinson, completely innocent in all of that. There is damage to the Subaru, there may be damage to Alex Lee's car as well, and absolutely no malice there. It was a genuine mistake, but a costly one for Ward Niels.
But Bruce Winfield, he's managed to steal a potential podium out of all this. Constable, big sideways slapper. He manages to get it back into position again. Goodness me, he almost lost it completely. Manages to catch it, and that's because there's so much gravel on the curbs there on the exit of the chicane. Let's have a look at it again. Hops in, hops out, back end slides. Thank you very much, says Jamie Tonks.
Nice car control that from Constable, though. Could have been a lot worse, couldn't it? Tonks gains a place then. Jack Depper, I'm afraid, out of the race, disqualified actually, for ignoring some of the light signals around the circuit. Not been a great day this for the youngster. Max Hart continues to lead the way. Chris Wallace, meanwhile, what's he been getting up to? Well, he's the latest near victim of the Fogarty S's. Another good bit of car control there, but the Fogarty S's starting to resemble a beach more than a racetrack.
And how close was Adam Shepherd? He almost got washed out in that as well. But Max Hart, this is absolutely brilliant. 2 race wins out of 2 from P10. Absolute masterclass. Max Hart triumphant and dominant here at Donington Park ahead of Smiley and Winfield.
Yeah, Smiley on the podium. That's not a bad recovery. And Bruce Winfield, that's much more like it as well in third. Then it's Tonks, Hutchinson, Constable gets into the top 10. What a race though, so much action, and it's not quite over yet either. Jess Hawkins here trying to keep Russell Joyce at bay. This is for 11th place. It's not quite a repeat of the race victory for Jess that she had at Donington Park, but a solid run there to a midfield finishing position after what was a breathless 25 minutes of action.
And we are told that Alex Lee has been excluded from the race result for causing a collision. Listen to the emotion from Max Hart. 2 wins out of 2. He is absolutely exuberant from that one. Fantastic job. Hart, Smiley and Winfield. Jamie Tonks picks up the win in the Tom Walker Trophy, and Andy Wilmot, finishing in 9th place, gets the Goodyear Diamond Trophy. Jess Hawkins managed to get herself into the 10th position for the final point. But what a race of attrition. Wart Neals, Darrell and Matthew Wilson both getting out of the race there. Scott Sumpton rejoining a lap down, as did Adam Shepherd. Exclusions for Lee and Depper, and we never even got to see Brad Kent, Hugo Cook or Rob Butler out there on the circuit in race 2.
Obviously expected to go forward from where we started, but maybe not so far forward as that. So yeah, come away with a P3 after struggling this morning. Yeah, great result.
What's the secret though for going from 18th to 3rd? There must be something you can tell us.
There was a little bit of carnage in front of us, so obviously just try and stay out of the way of that. Just try and race clean and keep yourself out of trouble and go faster than the guys in front of you, pretty much.
That's a pretty good way of looking at it. Yeah, that is part and parcel of touring car racing, isn't it? It's why people get addicted to it. It's why people love watching it, because you do get drivers that can go from right at the back to right at the front and taking advantage of other drivers' perhaps mishaps.
It helps you. You don't want to see anybody out of the race, but yeah, I ended up where I ended up because some people in front of me didn't finish, so or had accidents and stuff. So yeah, like I say, great result. Come away with P3 after starting 18th on the grid. I didn't expect that at all. So yeah, great day.
There was a few experiences on the way through. I think every car that I came up on behind, I've never raced against them before. So you've always got 90%, not 100%, because whenever you've been racing against all their different people,
Yeah.
you know how they race and where their car's strong and where their car's weak. But yeah, we got a mega start. I think I was up to 7th on the first lap. Just got my head down, chipped them off every lap by lap. The safety car bunched them all back up again, which probably helped us slightly. But yeah, it was a good race. Really enjoyed it. The car's still not 100% right after race 1. The front subframe's badly twisted on the car. So to come back through from 14th to 2nd, it was a real good result for the guys who have worked ever so hard today.
Going out into that race, I thought maybe I have the pace to win, but I certainly didn't think I was going to get the win. And it's literally, it's all down to the Jam Sport crew. Like, they've been so good. They've just given me the perfect car all weekend, and the setup has been fantastic, allowing me to drive it right on its limit consistently all the time. So a real credit to the lads.
A very good answer, very well put as well. I'm sure you'll probably get a beer for that one. It was a good reverse grid. As you said, you were a little bit anxious about it, weren't you? You were saying a little bit, we'll score points for the championship. Well, you scored a lot of points because you got the fastest lap, of course.
Yeah, so the first race, fastest lap, race win. Second race, fastest lap, race win. It just doesn't get any better. It's just nearly the perfect weekend. So I'm absolutely delighted.
Well, it was the perfect weekend for Max Hart, and it gives him a healthy points lead over Chris Smiley and Isaac Smith. Lewis Kent 4th, and Jamie Tonks inside the top 5, just ahead of Jess Hawkins, Bruce Winfield, Brad Hutchinson, Jack Constable, and Callum Newsham absent this weekend through illness. Looking forward to having him back next time. Bradley Kent a disappointed 11th ahead of Depper, Matthew Wilson, Russell Joyce, and Adam Shepherd. Alex Lee is next after his debut weekend, and Scott Sumpton, Ant Wart Neals, Andrew Wilmot, and Neil Trotter scoring points as well in his first weekend in the series. 5 more drivers have scored points: Steve Gales, Darrell Wilson, Hugo Cook, Chris Wallace, and Mark Smith.
That's it from rounds 3 and 4 here at Donington Park for the TCR UK Championship. Join us next time down at Brands Hatch in Kent, the Garden of England. We'll see you then.